Okay, so I mentioned on Twitter that I was going to review the Aquaman Rebirth trades, the first two anyway, because they're the only ones that are out yet. Volume 1, The Drowning, and Volume 2, Black Manta Rising. I haven't really kept up with Aquaman since the Maelstrom arc, I guess it was, the Maelstrom trade. So this is me getting back into the series and back into the character. But these issues basically collect Aquaman Rebirth number 1 and Aquaman number 1 to 6 in the first trade, and then Aquaman 7 to 15 in the second trade. But they're all pretty much one big storyline, basically involving Atlantis being blamed for terrorist attacks on the United States of America, and Aquaman having to sort all that out. And of course the villain behind all this is none other than Black Manta, which is one of his oldest and I guess, well, his arch enemy, I guess, aside from Ocean Master. And again, it's not much different from what we've seen before in the other Aquaman series. Some political stuff. This one in particular, Volume 1, it has a few conversations that seem to run in circles when Aquaman or Mera are discussing the state of Atlantis and American politics with the chief of staff of the White House. It kind of just runs in circles in terms of the arguments and the logic. But other than that, it's a pretty good read, both volumes. It was written by Dan Abnett, and they have 2 or 3 different artists: Scott Eaton, Brad Walker, Philip Briones, not sure. But the art is pretty good. It's serviceable. It's not mind-blowing, but it serves the story pretty well. I don't know if you can see that. But again, there's not a whole lot of superheroics into it that you're a little bit towards in Volume 2. You do get appearance by the Justice League and one of their old enemies. But mostly it's Aquaman trying to avoid a war between the United States and Atlantis, which seems to happen all the time. The one thing that I will say is that it introduces a few new supporting characters. At least they were new to me. But then I'd say about half of them quickly get killed off. So it's a little bit surprising. Spoiler alert there, by the way. And they introduce a few new things into the mythology that I wish I'd stuck around, but they end up getting rid of them pretty quickly. And they do introduce a few new villains. One is an organization called Nemo, which is a super secret organization that hates Atlantis for some reason. And they have these new villains that are created that are dealt with pretty quickly, called the Aquamarines, which are a bunch of U.S. soldiers that can turn into like sharks, and I forget what the rest of them are now. But they're neat in concept, but they don't really last all that long. I'm trying to get this in the light here so you can see some of this. These are the Aquamarines. But like I said, they only last for an issue or so, and then they're kind of dealt with again. They don't really come up as big villains in the story. So I'm not sure if they'll be back later on, because I don't think they actually get killed off at any point. I will say, here's a picture of some of the Aquamarines. But overall, it's been a good series. I understand that some of the characters that were introduced in these, Quorum Wrath, who was a minor villain in the first issue, returns, and from what I understand is now a major player in the series as a villain. So that's interesting. But overall, it's a good series. It's not a great series, but I was entertained by it, and like I said, it was overall, between the 2 volumes, there's 16 issues, so it was a good read and a long read. Nothing mind-blowing again, but still, if you're an Aquaman fan or a fan of the DC Universe or want to get into the Aquaman comics before the new movie comes out, can certainly go ahead and pick those up at your local comic shop or read them online through Comixology or DCComics.com. And see if you enjoy the adventures of the King of the Seven Seas.